going to talk about how to select the right tools for your social media marketing. Some of the conversations we've had are about how social media has changed the way that businesses conduct their businesses and more or less the way they should think about their business. You know, the age of, hey, I place an ad or I run a TV commercial, those things are having a lot less impact unless they're part of a more large, viral, integrated, fully branded, and by fully branded, I mean common messaging across all channels that people use to create a brand and do advertising. That's a lot more effective today. So we've talked about the change in the control of the message. We've talked about building tribes and creating communities. Complete brand transparency exists out there. Multiple channel, one-to-one messaging we've talked about in the past. That things are more on demand today. People think that, wow, this should happen right away. What I guess a lot of people are doing is they're coming and they're saying, you know, gosh, I'm thinking about, or I'm taking money from I'm going to pick on Yellow Pages. It could be any traditional marketing medium, right? I'm taking money from Yellow Pages and I'm going to put it into my online. And what I want to do is just take that to another level and say that your social media should be viewed now as your advertising. And I don't know that people have made that exact hookup where I used to spend $2,000 a month maybe on my Yellow Pages ad or on my print ad in the newspaper or on my direct mail pieces that I sent out and whatever. And I think there's a little bit of a disjoint between now I need to take that $2,000 a month and I need to allocate that number of resources to doing my social media. Right? Social media, because you can do it and it's free. Is it ever free if you're spending your time doing it? Is kind of my first hell no, you know. You know, because there's always better things you can do with your time. And then learning it and making sure that it's done well and getting the right tools in place and making sure that you're doing it well. And so it boils down to any other decision. Could you do your direct mail by yourself and print those things out and write it and do the graphic design and you could hand deliver them instead of going through the post office, I suppose, right, and save all the postage. And so everything's kind of a time versus money, expertise versus results kind of a thing. And so, you know, a lot of people are saying, well, I'm thinking about moving some of my budget from this to this, but I think social sometimes gets the idea that I should do that myself. And to some degree, you need to be involved if you're going to say you're interacting with people, but as a whole, to get your company out there via social media marketing, you should figure out, gosh, am I going to hire somebody in-house to do this? Am I going to do it? Who's going to do it? And I just thought that was kind of an interesting phenomenon that we're seeing, and it's rampant. Who in here has spent less on regular advertising in the last 3 years and more gone to social media? You know, and I'm shocked that every hand didn't go up. I kind of felt stupid asking the question. You've got to do this. This is far more effective. It's fully engaged. It's searching for what you want. It's close relationships that you have with people, and that's far more. When you get a business referral from somebody, there is an 80% chance of acceptance that you should do what that person's saying. So if I know Darren and I say, Darren, what should I do with this? Or Darren writes a post on his Facebook page or tweets about something or comments on something, and I know Darren, there's an 80% chance that I'm going to accept that what he's saying is true. So go eat at this restaurant, buy insurance from this person, do this from this, do this from this, do this from this, whatever. 80% chance of acceptance that I'm going to say I probably ought to do that. And a 35% incidence that I'm going to go do that. Versus conventional passive advertising where I have a 1% incidence of consideration and a 0.01% incidence of acceptance that I ought to do it. And so when you think about it, if you can reach out to enough people, conventional advertising is only needed if you don't have enough friends yet. Right? And so start doing that and getting that going, because it's far more effective and far easier. So what we wanted to do today is talk about what tools should I use? How do I select the right tools to generate the ROI from my social media marketing? And what I thought was interesting as I was putting this together was I felt like I wanted to go look up and find out what the definition of social media marketing is. Who has the handout that can read that to me?
The use of web-based and mobile technologies to turn communication into interactive dialogue.
So the use of web-based tools and mobile to turn communication into interactive dialogue. Did I get that right? Yes. Okay. And you know what and I thought this is the definition from Wikipedia, and I kind of thought that it was interesting that they said that communication was not interactive dialogue, so I wanted to focus on that a little bit, and I think our definition of communication is even changing with all of this. I could change the definition of Wikipedia. I ought to get in there and edit it. But to me, communication is two-way, is interactive dialogue. If I'm just saying, go do that, and I never check to see if you understood, and you don't acknowledge that you understood me, and whatever, I don't believe that we're communicating. And so maybe it used to be that communication was simply pushing advertising out to people, and businesses were communicating with people. And I'm going to say in today's world, communication is about engaging and having a interactive dialogue with somebody. My mother's very, very, no multitasking, and she would tell us as kids, hey, if I don't acknowledge that you're talking to me, I'm not hearing a word you're saying. So make me stop and make me look at you if you're going to tell me something important, right? And I think that's kind of the way the world should work now. And I always remember that as a kid. But if somebody's not acknowledging and giving me interaction, I don't really believe I'm communicating with you. If you guys all had your cell phones out right now and were looking down and texting and nobody was nodding their head and I saw no eyes, I wouldn't believe I was communicating with you right now, right? So interactive dialogue. And then when I looked at social media and I was thinking about this, I was kind of also asking the question, I believe that you also have to take time and geography out of that and say, regardless, to change their definition, regardless of time and geography, right? We right now are having an interactive dialogue, but it's not social media marketing because it's contingent on time. This event starts at 7:30 in the morning, 7:45 we start the program, 9 o'clock we're done. If you're not here during that time, you're not participating in this, right? And geography. If you're not sitting here at the Chamber Center right now, you're not participating, right? So if we were to make this a social media thing, what we would do is we would probably all be logged on right now. We would be recording everything that we're doing. We'd be broadcasting it out to take geography out of it. Time, we still wouldn't get the benefit of this without time. So on Facebook, when I go check my wall, right, time is out of the equation, although it's kind of in the equation. But if I'm going to say somebody posts something and I want to interact with them and I want to comment on that, I've pretty much got all day. I might have a couple of days, but we're in an in-demand society. So I'm going to say after a week or so I comment, and nobody really cares that I commented a whole lot. But it does try and take time and geography out of the equation. Do you think that time and geography ought to be taken out of the equation, or can we think of an instance of social media marketing where we would call it social media if I had to be somewhere at a particular time?
A couple months ago, and I posted a tweet saying, hey, I read your book, so I'm checking you guys out, and bought some shoes for my kid. 7 minutes later, they hit me back on Twitter going, awesome, do you have any questions? So that quick response did have an effect on me. You know what I mean?
Does the time make it more effective? And I think the answer is heck yeah,
it can
right?
be. Yeah, absolutely.
So it's more impactful if time is part of it.
It can be, absolutely.
Yeah,
I think so.
yeah. So I think that's something to remember for sure. You know, if somebody posts something, and I see it and I want to comment on it, I can do it later. But it's way more impactful if we start a dialogue at that point in time. So that's interesting. How in the world can I maintain my presence if I'm a business owner and I go to meetings, right? And I'm in a meeting for an hour and a half or 2 hours at a whack, and I have 3 or 4 of those a day to actually sell the things that I'm doing the social media to generate the business from, right? And so how do I do that, and how do I monitor that and things? Yeah, you have an idea about this? I was just hypothetically asking.
There's another side to the problem, and that is the people who decide that your social media contacts need to know what this morning's sunrise looks like, or where it is that you're going for lunch.
Oh, you read my Facebook page this morning. Huh?
If they can avoid that, I'd be more interested when they do have something to say.
So we have a whole nother session on creating content, and we address that. If you want people who are busy enough anyway to watch what you're up to and follow you, yeah, you should be cognizant of what it is that you're talking about and not just, doing that.
John, I'm reading between the lines. So I have a business page that I post every day on.
Facebook?
Yeah.
Yep.
Now, not everybody is a member of that, but if I want to recommend a
Not
restaurant,
everybody likes that?
well, not yet.
Okay.
So if I want to recommend a restaurant, if I'm reading between the lines, I should also do that on my personal posting.
I think it kind of depends on what audience that you're looking to communicate with.
I communicate with anybody and everybody.
Yeah. So, on my personal page or on our business page, I look at it kind of as the same, being a smaller business owner, right? What I say personally is the same thing that Webolutions is saying. There isn't a big corporate line there, Yeah, Darren?
Well, I would say the main difference in that is if you're putting
Can you tell everybody what you do?
Oh, I'm public affairs for the Colorado National Guard.
So
and a
Darren
photographer
cannot speak on
Yeah.
behalf on his personal page for the Colorado National Guard, per se, right?
And vice versa. I
Right.
mean, I can't talk about, I can't go on our Colorado National Guard page and give a restaurant recommendation. And my, I mean, certainly from a government that makes sense from a government standpoint, but even for a,
That's not Lauren right there.
well, right. No, I got you. But from a commercial standpoint, I would say it makes sense as well, because if you, as your business, recommend a restaurant, you have just alienated all the other restaurants from being your customer.
Not necessarily.
So perhaps consider that. But if you want to give a recommendation to every restaurant you go to, or whatever, then
And I think
maybe that works. But think about how you're doing that. It may make more sense to recommend things as your personal Facebook and not your business. But consider how you're doing it.